We are here with the Help Hope Heroes podcast.
Stephen Center, for me, they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself.
Recorded live at a homeless shelter.
I basically reinvented myself with the Stephen Center.
Our clients are the homeless, the addicted, those in poverty.
We fight the good fight.
Tear down some stigmas.
They taught me those life skills that I didn't have.
What does Help Hope Heroes mean to you?
If you come to the Stephen Center, you will be changed in a really good way.
Welcome to Help Hope Heroes podcast, episode 4. My name is Michael Murphy. I'm the marketing director here at Stephen Center with my co-host today,
Ryan McNeil,
And what's your title, Ryan?
Marketing Associate.
Here at Stephen Center, and we are so happy to have a special guest with us today. Her name is Michele. Michele?
Hi.
Can you tell we're happy about our buttons?
Right.
We're excited to use them, and you're the first one to receive full round of applause on the Help Hope Heroes podcast.
Yay.
So that's another reason that you are special.
Yes.
Well,
I'm
thank
special.
in all the right ways.
Right.
We really appreciate the time today. I love that you're wearing your Stephen Center volunteer shirt, so it looks
Yes.
like you were working in the kitchen today.
Stephen Center is my home.
Wow.
It's my home.
So before we dive into the obvious reasons we want to talk, because you're a client, a hero graduate,
Right.
let's talk about Michele just a little bit. Where are you from, Michele?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and grew up in the city, and then my parents moved me to the suburbs. Kind of grew up with your kind of dysfunctional parents. My house was kind of dysfunctional. My parents were sober. They were what you call dry alcoholics.
Dry alcoholics.
Right. So I never saw them drink. They were in AA, but they quit going to meetings, and they just never drank. And they had just this really kind of bad attitude about, I don't know. It was just really different. I don't know. My dad was like a dry drunk. He just had a really bad attitude about things, and didn't work a program, and we never, I don't know, it was very dysfunctional home. Everybody was really segregated and separate. My brothers and my sister was older. I was the youngest. I had 4 brothers. Oldest was old enough to be my dad. They were taken away from my mom.
Wow.
And so everybody in my family had addiction. Everybody.
Wow.
And it just kind of like everybody left, and it left me. I was the last one. And it put a lot of pressure on me with my mom, and I just really tried not to fall into that category, but it didn't work. I always felt uncomfortable in my skin completely. I was alone.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone in feeling that way.
Right.
Now that you know.
Now that I know.
A lot of other people that are clean and sober and gone through the same thing.
Right.
So how'd you end up in Omaha? Or when or how?
I moved to California when I was 16. Another thing, my parents was like, okay, we're 4 days before my 16th birthday. We're moving you to California. So there was another.
New friends, new school.
New everything.
Wow.
Dropped out of school.
When you were 16?
When I was 16, they emancipated me so I could get a job. And I ended up going into beauty school, which I did really well and became really successful at. And I ended up meeting a man who became really pretty famous. We both did. We both worked. I worked in hair. I worked for Bedhead. And he worked for a band called Johnny Gunn and ended up working for Bad English.
Wow.
And I worked for Bedhead and Tony, which is Tony and Guy, and did platform artistry on stage, cut hair on stage, and traveled.
Wow.
And it was really exciting, and I did rock stars' hair. And
like, what age were you when this was starting to take off?
18, 20, 21.
Too young.
Right.
Looking back, right?
Right.
Like,
Lots
exciting, but dangerous.
Very. But
So what'd you find in that lifestyle, though? What'd you find? Is that where addiction began?
Fast. It was really fast.
Mm.
The start of my life was really fast. I grew up really young. I moved out when I was 16. So I
Okay.
had my own apartment when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
So I don't think anyone at 16 should have their own apartment.
No, I have a 15-year-old daughter,
Right.
and I'm,
Yeah, are you looking at her going, move out, get
Yeah.
a place?
Did you go to beauty school right at 16?
I did when I was 17.
Okay. What'd
Yeah.
you do between getting to California and beauty school?
I actually worked at Emporium Capitals,
Okay.
which is like, Macy's, Yonkers.
Gotcha.
So I worked there, and I was really a hard worker. But drugs,
Yeah.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That seemed to be the motto,
yeah,
the theme of the 80s.
Yep.
absolutely.
Right.
That's what you were seeing in pop culture, right?
Yeah.
Big hair.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, it was crazy. And all the pretty boy rocker boys, that's what we did. And that was pretty much what I did,
Yeah.
and that was all the music.
So did you do hair for anybody that we could drop a name of that people would be like, wow,
Well, yeah.
David
I did.
Bowie? No.
I wish I
He
would
had
have.
crazy hair,
I
right?
love David Bowie.
Flock
but
of Seagulls had some wild
Right. Mine would have been
stuff going on.
more rock. It was. I did Aerosmith's hair. I did Skid Row's hair. I did Y&T's hair.
No way.
Yeah, there were quite a few bands back in the 80s. So.
I think I've heard of a couple of them.
My ex's band too. So the Johnny
Wow.
Gunn band. That's how I met my ex. Was doing a show for them one night. So yeah, it was a good time. A lot of it I don't remember because a lot of it is, it's really kind of a drug-induced life,
Yeah.
and it was really hard to come back from. And then there was a lot of it that was kind of missing. We moved a lot. I spent a lot of time moving and a lot of lonely times.
You and your ex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of lonely times. He's on the road. I'm home. I was with my daughter a lot. We
Yeah.
were alone. So there's a lot of times where you're alone, and that's isolation.
So you just mentioned a daughter. How old were you when you had your daughter?
I was 23.
And how many kids do you have today?
I have 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
And so 23, first kid, you were already in addiction at that point?
Yeah. I did. I had her. I stopped using. I didn't know I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant. Didn't know it. But I stopped using when I found out. And then I had her early. She was tiny. She was perfect, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. And it just wasn't enough. I mean, I stayed clean for quite a while with her, but still, it just still continued.
The demons were there, like his
They were there.
self-speak and things like that. You
Right.
could hear the,
Yeah. And I came, and then that alone, being alone, and he'd be on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who do you turn to?
who do I turn to? My comfort,
Yep. What
always.
you knew, yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed normal. Plus, it was normal. It was normal being with bands that are breaking out drugs.
Yeah.
That was normal.
Do you feel like your relationship with your ex did you ever know each other without drugs as part of the equation?
No.
So if you were to ever take that away, there was probably a fear that
Right.
things wouldn't be the way they should be, right?
Right.
Because
And
does he
he-
even love me while he's not high
Right.
type thing? Yeah.
Right. And he was really, he's really a smart man. He's extremely smart, and he sacrificed an awful lot. My addiction went so deep, and he really sacrificed a lot for my daughter. He ended up getting custody of her. I couldn't get a grasp on reality and what was going on. I fell really hard into drugs,
Yeah.
and he seemed to be able to pull himself up out of it, and he sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
And he did the right thing for my child. I began another relationship with another man who I'm still with.
Okay.
I've been married for 30 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That is not easy at all, right?
No,
God.
it's not on,
But it's
on either part.
Good,
No,
good work, though.
it is. And I love him. He's my soulmate.
That's
That's my
great.
best friend.
What's his name?
His name's David.
David. You're getting
Yep.
the first
Right.
spouse shout out on our
Right.
podcast. Shout out
And
to David. That's great.
he's here. He volunteers with me here at the Stevens Center. And that's the man who was standing there with me at the end.
Yeah.
Did
That's
you meet
great.
him in California?
I did. I met him in California. He was a firefighter, and I knew the first night I met him, I kissed him, and I knew that was the man I was going to marry.
That's great.
Beautiful.
It's like, yeah, that was that magic, you know. I just knew that was the man I was going to spend the rest of my life with, but I didn't really know that he was going to be that person that there was magic that was going to really have to. He didn't just go through hell. I mean, he really literally went through hell.
By your side.
Right. He lived in hell with me. And that's a hard place to be with somebody
Mm-hmm.
and stay there with them while they fight this war, you know, and still stay,
Yeah.
you know, and then I kept going back into it. I've gotten out of it. I was out of it for a little while. And just relocating, you can't just relocate somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to do this program. I mean, and you have to find something greater than yourself. You absolutely do.
You got to want it.
You have to want it. And I had gotten, well, I'll kind of back up. I'd moved to Nebraska. My husband, I'd just fallen so deep with my ex, and he ended up getting custody of my daughter. So I had a son with Dave, and it was my ex had custody, so I still had the son, and I needed to do something. And I moved to Nebraska. We came here, and I didn't really know what was going on. So I still had alcohol. I used alcohol. And
Yeah.
then being here, meth came here. It took it a while,
Okay.
but it came to Nebraska.
Is there a motivating factor to Nebraska? Did he have family here, or you had
he-
family?
My husband did. He
Yeah.
had family here, so we came to Nebraska City. And little by little, that drug just really creeped in. I watched it, followed him.
Oh.
It came here, and I watched it just take over.
About
this-
what year are we talking?
So I'm going to go back probably about 20 years.
Okay.
Probably about 20 years ago.
So
was
just
it-
before 2000, the year
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah, it just started. Yeah, because that's about when my mom died.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's when it really happened. And so that's like my mom died, my mother died, my mother-in-law died, my best friend died. Everyone died all at that time. I lost all my female support.
Yep.
And it was hard, stress, and that's my go-to,
So
Drugs.
At this point, when you're in Nebraska City and you're grieving,
right?
you had never even seen methamphetamines.
Oh, I had.
So out on the road with the rock band stuff, it was
Oh, yeah.
cocaine and
It's
just everything
cocaine,
you could
and
think of.
they just called it crank then. It's just
Yeah.
always had a different, you know.
Yeah, it's always been the same thing, but
It's always
different names.
speed, right?
Yeah.
It's just a form of amphetamine,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
And then it came here,
But still, what you
methamphetamine.
carried with you from California to Nebraska was really alcoholism, an addiction,
It's an
obviously,
addiction.
an addictive personality,
Right.
maybe. And then you get into methamphetamines pretty bad, right around before 2000.
Right,
Okay.
really bad.
So I know that there's a whole lot that probably happened in between 2000 and when you got to Stevens Center, but I am going to ask you to just kind of fast forward a little bit.
right?
Talk to me about how you landed at Stevens Center,
So that-
why, how, all that stuff. Give us
So
the
I ended up getting, going back on drugs. The whole thing got really bad. I ended up getting clean, and then I ended up relapsing.
I have a quick question just
Yep.
to take it one step back. Were you ever diagnosed with a mental illness at any point in time between
No.
your recovery and starting drugs?
No,
Okay.
just addiction.
Yeah.
I do have, what I do have though is I have an illness called lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and I broke my back.
Okay.
Oh,
So I have osteoporosis with compression fractures. So because of that, I started using the meth again as
Yeah.
a pain.
Yeah.
You know, they had put me on a lot of painkillers. So that's my go-to.
yep,
Forget the painkillers, go back to the methamphetamine.
yep.
So in that time, I ended up getting in trouble again with the law.
Okay.
And I'm in this small town, and I can't seem to get my reputation back.
Mm-hmm. Especially a small town.
Right. And then this time, I ended up last year, I was on probation 2016, and I was literally just making a mockery of the police of probation. I mean, I'm just thinking, and this is funny, I'm going in and I'm like, they want me to UA, and I'm just like, oh, forget it. I'm just blowing off these UAs. I'm just using drugs. They're giving me all the rope in the world to hang myself, and I'm taking it all,
Wow.
and thinking this is okay. So, and then finally, I ended up in violating my probation, got put in jail, and then it just started. What that was, actually, it's almost been a year. That was April 18th of last year
Congratulations.
When you were
when I was put in jail.
Oh, not
And I
last
thought
year?
of last year, I thought it was, and it was crazy. So it's been a year ago that my life was an absolute nightmare, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And at that time, my daughter had wrote a song. Well, I'll back it up just a little bit, because on December 12th, I went to treatment in Columbus, because at 1:30 they were going to revoke my probation. So I thought I'd be a smart ass, and I'd be at 2 o'clock. I was in treatment.
Yeah, to try to avoid jail.
Right.
Yeah.
It just, and it didn't even,
Well, yeah.
I didn't care,
Once you-
you know, right? So
Yeah.
then I relapsed in
Okay.
January. But I had a little taste of what it was like
Yeah.
to
That-
be
clean
and to have my kids talk to me.
oh wow.
So, because they weren't talking to me.
Yeah.
They didn't want anything to do with me. During that time, my daughter wrote me a song. And it's the most amazing thing in the world that I can't even begin to express to you what it did. So this song comes out in April, right before this happens, and it's called Michele. And my daughter's name is Nicole Boggs,
How do you spell Boggs?
Boggs.
Okay.
And
Nicole Boggs.
Uh-huh.
So we're encouraging people to go listen.
Right. And she's amazing. She was on the 4 last year.
Oh wow.
When I was in treatment in Columbus, she was on the 4. So, and she's got a voice like you would not believe. She's soul.
Yeah, I love
So
Selena.
she's just really amazing. She lives in Tennessee, and she's been singing out all her life. I mean, her dad and her, she has worked really hard.
So this is the one you had at
This
age
is-
23.
Yes.
The first daughter
Yes.
with Billy
With Chris.
Johnny English.
No, his name is Chris.
The name of the band was.
Right,
Yeah.
but his name is Chris
Chris.
Boggs.
Okay.
Yeah, and he is he's amazing. He actually does he works for Taylor Swift.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
I've heard of her.
Yeah. yeah, he does a lot of her audio.
Cool.
Yeah. So but yeah, Nicole's just amazing. She went to the Denver School of Performing Arts, and so she's really well trained in vocal, so you'll really enjoy it. But she wrote the song, and it just like really, I don't know what it did, but it woke me up
So you heard it right before you go into jail.
right before I went to jail. I mean, it brought me to my knees. I didn't even want to hear it. It was like,
I bet.
it was her emotions. It was
Yeah.
it's not something that, I mean, so far every woman that's heard it brings them to tears.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to listen to, and that's what it did for me. It brought me to tears, and it just it brought me out of the gates of it, brought me out of the fires of hell, and
That's
woke me
beautiful
up.
though. That's
And-
a beautiful thing.
Right? And then I realized that what I was doing not only to her, but to my 2 boys. My boys that have been here for me, you know, they didn't have that dad like my daughter did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had me, and I wasn't there for them. And that's not fair. You know, they just wanted their mom.
Yep.
And I have Tragan, my oldest son, who's been here. So he's been here on this journey with me, who's been like the glue that's been holding everything together. And it's been really hard on him.
I can imagine.
So I just decided, I think the judge did the best thing for me that could have ever happened. First in April, I go to jail on April 18th, and Carrie, my counselor, told me, she'll always remember you being the person who said, I knew I had bleach blonde hair. I said, I knew I should have put my hood up when the police got me.
Yeah.
I was like that would have made a difference in my life, right? They can't see
you
my
were going
hair.
to jail because of your hair.
Right.
Not because of your addiction.
Right. If they
not
wouldn't have
because of
seen my
crime.
hair, I would have been great, right?
We laugh, but that's insight to the working mind,
The
of
mind.
an addicted person, right?
Right.
Of somebody that's really in the midst of it.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
only I just would have, put my hood up, everything would be great,
'Cause it's never our fault.
Exactly.
It's the hood's fault. It's
Right.
the cop's fault.
If
It's
I
all
would
that.
just stay in the dark, and I'd still be okay,
Yeah.
and it's great that I didn't, and I was standing in the driveway, and the officer, the thing that was crazy was that he was so worried about me. He was like, Michele, are you okay? They had actually been looking for me. They were really concerned for my well-being. And
to take you to jail? Was
yeah,
there a warrant
no, there wasn't a warrant. He was worried. There had been some things going on, and he was worried. And I've lived in this town for almost 30 years, so he was genuinely concerned because I wasn't doing things that normal 53-year-old women do. You know, it's like, this is not okay.
Yep.
I'm a mom. I used to teach preschool there. I used to be a good soccer mom, normal person in this community, and I was anything but that.
Wow.
You know, anything but that at that moment. And I was so grateful. I'm so grateful for them, for all of them, because it wasn't what happened to me at that moment. I went to jail and I thought, this is good. On Monday morning, when that was a Saturday, on Monday morning when I went to court, and then they took me as a safe keep to York, to prison.
Wow.
That was not what I was expecting.
A little bit difference between jail and prison.
2 hours by 2 hours by normal car, 58 minutes by sheriff that wants to get rid of you really fast. So I was just like, oh my God, why are we going here? He's like, you'll thank me. I'm like, no, I'm not ever going to thank you. Yeah, I do. I thank him a lot because he helped me. He helped save me. And I've called there and I've thanked them because they saved me. It was a safe keep. They help you get off their medicines. You know, they put you there so that they can be monitored by the hospital. Yeah. And then I came back and I was in county again for 10 days. And then I was out for 12 days. And then I was back in jail again for 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, and after that, then the judge gave me an ankle monitor and told me, Mrs. Russell, you're your own worst enemy. Let's see what you can do. And that was the moment of surrender because he didn't tell me to go left or go right. He didn't tell me to do anything. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me was
your choice.
At my age, it was my choice. And I asked for help. I just asked for help.
Was that the first time in your life you think you asked for help?
That was the first time I asked for help, ever. I was so desperate. I knew I was going to die. And I knew it was coming soon because if it was going to be by my own hands if I didn't do something.
Do you find it easier since then to kind of let yourself be more vulnerable to other people?
All the time. And to help other people.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I came here, this program has given me not only hope, but a family. This is my home. I love the Stevens Center. I mean, I left that. I love Nebraska City. It's a beautiful town. It's very unhealthy right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm sad for that, and I pray every day. And all the addicts out there, those are my brothers and sisters. I pray for them too. They're just like me. And I want to be able to help anybody I can, and that's what I did. I knew 3 things when I got here. I knew that I had to relocate. I knew that I had to get a sponsor right away, and I knew I had to work steps, and that's what I do. And giving back here to the Stevens Center it's amazing. It's a gift. I never even knew that a program like this existed. When I started reading about it, I was like, whoa.
So this program she's referring to is our HERO program. HERO stands for Health, Empowerment, Responsibility, and Opportunity. For those of you that have not been to our campus, we have a very large building on 28th and Q, and that is home to our emergency shelter in the basement and permanent supportive housing apartments in the upstairs section. But right next door is the John L. Hoytch Center for Recovery. And that's home to our HERO program that has 32 beds for men and for women as an intensive inpatient treatment facility. So she joined HERO when?
And June 4th, 2018. June 4th.
So jail and all that back and forth and all the stuff and the judge making you make a choices in between April and that June date. What was that like coming to the HERO program?
It was overwhelming the first day, but now I've taken so much out of this. I've seen people fall, but if you want something out of this, you can have it. I mean, it's like their rules. Follow the rules. They're simple. That's the one thing about addicts we don't like. We don't like to follow rules.
Yeah. Anytime somebody can tell you no, they're your worst enemy.
It doesn't matter how simple it is. We don't want to follow them. And that's the hardest thing is my husband always used to tell me, just listen. Just do this. It's like, oh, I want to listen. I want your help. I want you to help me, but I want you to help me with the way I'm telling you how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? I'll tell you how I want you to help me. And it just doesn't work that way in the world, It does not.
And now getting to know you, and we could go in depth to the program, but it's always such a different experience for everyone. I don't want to spend too much time going in depth into exactly what they did for you, but I want to know what they did for you in the way of when you wake up every morning and you're going through thoughts in your head of what is today going to be like? What are some things that you have in place on a day-to-day basis keeping you sober?
What I do, like my routine that I do.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning. The first thing I do is thank God. That's the first thing I do every day, because that's something I didn't have in my life before. And I thank God, and I meditate. I have a routine that I do. It's like an app that I use. It's a meditation app, and I start my day. I have to be grateful every day because I get to. I don't have to. I get to wake up. I'm here, and I get to share. Like, I get to come here. I get to work with people. I didn't think about giving back to anybody before. I didn't ever think in that term before. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even realize how selfish I was. And now it's not about me. It's about something greater than me. And my whole world is turned around completely. I get to give back. I get to go to meetings. I go to them, and I get to work with other women. I have so many friends. I was lonely before. If I'm lonely, I'm not lonely. Yeah. I'm never lonely. I live in a recovery house.
Is that women. Like a halfway house, a three-quarter house?
Three-quarter way house, yeah.
What are the benefits of that to you? I mean, it might be fairly obvious to some, but what do you get out of it?
Not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. It's a great place to start to transition from, because there's a lot of people here at the Stevens Center. So when you're transitioning, it's nice because you're not alone. Mm-hmm. It helps you. It helps you to get back out into society and help you. The women work together. Keeps you so if you need help, you reach out to each other. Definitely reach out. And like we have group meetings. We'll have one tonight. We have house meetings. So we stay in touch with each other so we know what's going on. And it's just a better way to transition back out into society, which I am moving out. I've been there 3 months now. So I'm moving in with my girlfriend on Thursday. So I'm really excited about doing that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of an accountability thing.
Right.
And you're keeping that group atmosphere around. I think that's lovely.
Right.
I don't know if you could speak to it at all, Matt, our director, as our crisis intervention therapist, about the benefits of, transitioning slowly back into society. So if you're getting out of rehab, what are some precautions in doing so?
Well, just as you said, just take it slowly. Yeah. And all too often we, as you've said, Michele, we want to do it our way.
Right.
I want it on my terms, in my time, my way. And it really is difficult for people to give over control to a program, to a therapist.
A higher power.
To a higher power. So really we're always in a rush to get everything done. Mm-hmm. And this is one situation, one circumstance where taking the time, being patient is just going to be, you're going to be better off for it if you allow life to take its time and take those steps slowly.
Very good.
That's why I really like the structure of the program that we've got, is that it's so flexible and
right.
It's so tailored to the individual. If you're in a position and if you are ready to take the next step is taken, but not until then. And Michele, you've got to prove yourself. You've got to prove yourself to the therapist and to the people, the staff, that I am ready to take that next
right.
step. And if you are ready, you are given that next step. But to take those steps slowly, and only when you are ready, and only when you are sure.
That's good.
Well, Matt,
let's get back to
Matt gave me a phrase that I live by every day. It's my favorite, and that is I'm a future. I'd go off in the future all the time, and it's forever is just right now.
Huh.
It absolutely is.
This moment, I stay in this moment.
I'm just taking a moment to write that down. That's
Right.
so dang good.
It really is, and I stay with that one every day.
Yeah.
We just recently discussed that in the spirituality class, and that is where that comes up, that only now exists. that
Right.
Very
past-
cool.
Right? I love it.
Very cool. And now he may even mention just for a sec too is it's a go at your own pace program, the Hero
Right.
program. So it's not just like 90 days in and out. I think that's very important. Did you feel that was helpful?
Oh, I did 7 months.
Okay.
I was at the Stevens Center for 7 months. It was beyond helpful because I couldn't live. I wasn't living life on life's terms. I was living life on my will.
Had you tried rehab before this, traditional
Yeah,
rehab? Or
I'd done-
traditional?
I did traditional rehab, but something about, I don't know what happened. I think it was also because this was my time to surrender.
I want to touch on something too. Talk to me about the staff at Hero.
I love
I hear all the time, and from an out, we're all in the same organization. I work with them quite often, and the sense I get is that they're like a family.
They are family.
And
I mean,
So the clients and the employees almost they come together as a family quite often.
right. Well, I'll put it this way. I really couldn't even form sentences when I got there. I mean, I was that bad. A lot of us are. I know for myself I was, and I was terrified. I couldn't speak. I couldn't, I could definitely couldn't do something like this 10 months ago. I started working at the kitchen. I was so embarrassed. I actually had to have one of the girls come up to set my alarm clock for me.
Wow.
But they do.
Yeah.
And they do help you with stuff like that. And they are a family. And it is my family. And that's why I still go over there all the time. Even though I've graduated from the program, I still go over and I go in, I check in with my counselor, I check in with my family.
I think that's so important though, because and to touch on something that you just said is they would come and set your alarm clock for
Right.
you. The reason being is that, a lot of folks that work here, over 30 of our 80 part-time, full-time employees are former clients.
Right.
So they were either in our homeless shelter or in our Hero Addiction Recovery Program at one point in time. So they were able to add that instant credibility
Right.
of saying, I have been in your shoes.
Right.
And I'm going to set your alarm clock because I was that
'Cause
bad.
they were- they
I was
might-
that, yeah.
They might have even been in my room.
Yeah. And how inspiring is that, though,
Right.
to know your counselor or anybody over there as a case manager even
When
was
they're
in those
sitting,
same shoes.
right, when they're sitting in the room in the morning, we have what's called community.
Yeah.
And I go over there still. I'll usually try and go over on a Tuesday once a month and
That's
sit in
great.
community so that they know. I also chair the Thursday night alumni meeting for the Stevens Center so that they know that it was 10 months ago on the 4th. I had my 10 months on the 4th.
Button. Cue the button.
Yay!
Way to go.
Right?
That is no small feat.
Yeah, it's
Way to
Right?
go.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But yeah, so I make sure that I go over there so that they know it's not just for me anymore. My sponsor made sure she let me know that. She's like, it's not about you. I was like, I didn't want to come get a chip. She's like, it's not about you. I'm like, oh, I get it now.
That's fascinating.
I know. I was like, oh, okay, I see. She said, it's not about you. It's about them seeing you get it so that they know.
You know what I like too is that I see it just from an outsider's perspective as building little safety nets too. Because
Right.
when you don't show up to that meeting,
Right.
they're going to come find you.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, and I did. Last week, I had to go to the emergency room last week, and I just like, oh, wait, I have to call. I have to make
Make
sure
sure.
that they all know that I'm not going to be here, and I got somebody to cover it, and
Yep.
it's a commitment, and it is a commitment. And I took it really serious because it was just handed down to me from somebody else who it was a commitment from them.
Yep.
And I felt honored that they handed it down to me.
To be chairing a meeting.
Right.
So
and
cool.
and that it's the alumni meeting because that's my home. So it was actually, I kind of got choked up that it was handed down to me because that made me feel, it's pride,
That's great.
and that's my home.
Don't
And
lose that. You can't
Right.
lose that.
So I figure, whatever the commitment's going to be. And then I chose somebody else to do that with me too, who I think has just got the same feeling that I do.
Great.
Right, another graduate from the Heroes program. It's just, it becomes home. I never thought I would see myself going. I remember the last treatment place I went to last December. I couldn't wait to get out of there in 30. I was like, 30 days. Oh my God, are you serious?
Now you're out of treatment.
And I still, yeah, after 7 months.
Going back.
Right.
You're not being dragged back in. You're
No.
walking back in, and that's so awesome.
All the time. When my daughter was here, we were here for, we coming and going. And the thing that was so amazing about this program, when my daughter showed up to visit me, was the most wonderful thing. I haven't seen her for 13 years. And they surprised me last week. And she came from Tennessee. She flew in, my whole family.
Oh, no way.
They were secretly doing this. And so my roommate says to me, how did it feel to have everybody know that everyone was secretly, getting together to do this surprise thing for you? I'm like, the only people that have ever done that for me was the Nebraska City Police Department. No knock search warrant.
Wow.
I'm like, nobody gathers to do anything secret for me.
A pleasant surprise.
Right.
For a change.
I was like, I was crying, but it was a good one this time. It was great.
So when they said surprise, did you just automatically get ready to get caught?
Right, exactly. Yeah, are we leaving now? It was great. So my daughter, it was really great. I couldn't believe she was standing there. And it just showed me that these are the promises of the program, and not only of recovery of AA, NA, or any of the A's that you do, but of surrender and the willingness to change your life, of however you want to change your life. That's what will happen if you just change your life.
Yep.
Turn it around, do the right things. Now, that was just the tip of the iceberg, because now the real work starts.
Yep.
This is where we begin. We went out and had matching tattoos done to commemorate seeing each other. But I couldn't believe she was standing in my kitchen. Here I was planning a trip to go see her to make amends, because I owe her that.
Oh, and she came for you.
And she came for me, right?
That's the good stuff, Michele.
Right. And then I got to take her, and it was like everything was always just out of my reach, where I couldn't, when she would come see me, I could never just give her something, like do something for her. It would always just be just out of my reach.
So did it feel like you kind of had to get to know her a
We
second
do.
time?
We do. And we are. We're going to work slow on that.
Yeah.
And so this was being able to break the ground, but to show her, to be able to show her. And my daughter does really amazing things. And she has something coming up, she writes, she's a songwriter. So she sells her songs. And she actually was approached, a phone call came in, and she was able to sell some songs to Grey's Anatomy.
Wow.
So we actually were able to use the Stevens Center so she could print and scan to do this contract. And what was so nice was that when she asked me if I could help, she's like, Mom, I need to be able to do this. And I could say, I know where to go. I know where we can go.
Cool.
And then when she also has, she also needed, she has some issues, an illness like me. I have autoimmune disease, so she has one too. And like she needed a special lunch. It's like I could call Robert. Hey, Robert, can you get my daughter a special lunch? And he was there to provide it. I felt like for the first time I wasn't coming up short on things, because I actually had the Stevens Center that I could use. This is a go-to for me. This is like my one-stop shop for everything. I have resources in this building.
Yep.
It sounds like not a lot to outside people, but yeah, it's crazy how much it means to you after all that time.
Right. It really does. And to know that you do, I can call somebody here, anywhere in this building, and they're going to direct me to wherever I want to be.
Yep.
And I know that. It's like I don't feel like I'm alone, and I don't feel hopeless anymore, because I know I'm not.
It's a fact.
Right?
It's not a feeling. It's a fact.
It is a fact. And so everything that I do today is solution-based, and I don't come up short. It's like if I can't, and all you have to do is ask.
Yep.
And those were the things I didn't know how to do before.
Which goes back to feeling vulnerable, or being able to be vulnerable, again, and ask for help.
Right? And that was where all because a judge put an ankle monitor on me and said, show me what you can do.
Challenge accepted.
Right.
Way to go.
He's like, you're your own worst enemy. And I just said, I don't want to be my enemy anymore. I just want to be. And the best thing I think I've gotten out of this is I found a relationship with myself. Right? Not anybody else but me. I learned how to love me.
You value yourself.
I do.
Good, because you're valuable. Michele.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's what I did get from this program, from all of it, from this whole place, is that I've seen people try to have relationships here, but it's like the biggest relationship you can find is with yourself. Find whatever higher power you can and turn that into something for you. And then if you don't love yourself,
How can anybody else?
right?
Yeah.
It's just going to emanate from you. When you love yourself, then it can be received by other people.
Those are some great words of wisdom. I cannot tell you how thankful I am that you gave us some time today.
Thank you.
I recall one of the first times I met you, you were still in the program. We were out on the back dock smoking.
Yep.
And within the first 2 sentences, you just went on and on about how much you love Stevens Center and what it meant to you. And it was at that time that I knew that if this woman makes it, she's going to be one of our first podcast interviews. Because honestly, we started planning this like 6 months ago. And I'm going to continue to be, pulling for you. We all will, obviously, as a center. But it's just been, I've only been here 2 years, so I've only seen so many people go all the way through, and you're one of the firsts. And so proud of you. And
thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
I love it here. I'll be here.
Good. Do you have any final questions? Because that was just a
spot to end it. Yeah.
Such a great interview. Such a great person.
Thank you.
Comes back here how many times a week to volunteer now?
I come on Tuesdays and Thursdays and sometimes Fridays.
Now, give me a real quick little help here. There's a little marketing help.
Okay.
I'm going to ask everybody listening and watching today to like, subscribe. We are now available on the Google Play Store. We're available on iTunes. We're on YouTube, and we post these to Facebook as well. So if you haven't done already, tell them why they should go like and subscribe this stuff.
Oh, this is great stuff. You absolutely should like and subscribe to it. I'm on here.
Exactly.
I'm on here.
Enough.
Robert's on here.
Yeah.
All of us are on here. You definitely should.
Please just consider doing so and getting to know us better. And
and find out what's going on at the Stevens Center. There's all kinds of stuff.
If you haven't done it already, come get a tour too. Because when you first see the facility, it's not what you picture. So.
Right. Definitely.
All right. Any parting words of wisdom?
Be kind to yourself and everybody else.
And tell me, what does Help Hope Heroes mean to you?
Life. It does. It
That
means
is a
my
great
life.
answer. It's a great answer.
Right.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap.
Thanks.
We are here with the Help Hope Heroes podcast.
Stevens Center, for me, they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself.
Recorded live at a homeless shelter.
I basically reinvented myself with the Stevens Center.
Our clients are the homeless, the addicted, those in poverty.
We fight the good fight.
Tear down some stigmas.
They taught me those life skills that I didn't have.
What does Help Hope Heroes mean to you?
If you come to the Stevens Center, you will be changed in a really good way.